And welcome back, comic book fans, and welcome back to the Comic Lira podcast, where we comically
and literally
review comics. I'm Ryan, also known as Comic Stan. I love comic books, but my co-host loves regular books, so I make him read comic books. And this week we're back in the Ultimate Universe, back in the Ultimate Spider-Man universe.
Yeah, we're talking about Spider-Man.
And we're back. The boys are back in town. Is there any other songs with back in it? Baby Got Back?
Baby Got Back.
In the Ultimate Universe?
They tried to make... No, that doesn't have back in it. You can do it. Put your back into it.
Back in the Ultimate Universe.
You can do it. Put your back in the Ultimate Universe.
All right, well, we tried and failed with that bit. But anyway, moving on. As with me as always, my aforementioned quadratic co-host is Jamie. I think it's kind of part 4 of the Ultimate Spider-Man universe stuff.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I can deal with that.
And also, I hadn't prepared one, so I was really on the spot with thinking of it. I thought quadratic was pretty good for last minute. You don't have to comment on that.
No, I'm going to.
Right.
It's my prerogative to pass comment. Get like a C-. Like it's a pass, but you wouldn't want to put it on the fridge.
I think C- is the epitome of Comic Lira podcast, really, if you think about it.
No, this is an A+ podcast.
Or it's A+ and U's.
S-tier podcast.
With some Fs.
Yeah, the occasional miss. Although the last episode was good.
The last episode was fantastic. It's been very well received.
Has
a lot
it?
of people are enjoying it. Got a comment at the end that... What are you sighing at that for?
Is it from one of the regulars?
Yes, it's from one of the regulars. Obviously.
I think we need to stop reading out comments from repeat offenders, because if not, they're just going to keep doing it.
Well, if you call them repeat offenders, look, if people want to tell us how great we are, I'm not going to stop them. But what they have to do is give us a 5-star review on their podcast action of choice. Anyway, on with the show.
You can't do the calls to action before we've even done the bloody podcast.
On with the show. So, Ultimate Spider-Man back in the game.
It's 13 to 19.
Issues 13 to 19 I've been reliably informed. So, back in the universe...
Why did you say it like that?
Because I have been reliably informed.
We're going to have one of those episodes. I've turned up, Brian's not in a great mood, and we're going to bicker.
I'm in a fantastic mood.
No,
who's doing the complaining since before even the microphone's turned on?
Don't lie to me. You've been indignant since I arrived.
I don't think so.
Oh, fuck off.
Well, the listeners will never know. So, the truth or untruth of it.
Spider-Man!
Anyway, Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Also, little thing we'll be getting to afterwards, the future of the Ultimate Universe and where we might be going there. So stick around for that at the end as well.
Oh, God, are they getting rid of it?
It's complicated. We'll
complicated.
We'll get into it. So, back in the universe... number one question, how much of the story do you remember before you start reading it?
None.
Right.
Some. Most. Yeah, some.
All right.
I had to get like the symbiote stuff. Like, I wasn't fully aware that Spidey's son had been wearing the suit. I had to track back a little bit to work that one out.
I think that basically started from issue 13.
Yeah.
So issue 12, I remember that one because that was the Christmas episode issue. We do that a lot, but that was the Christmas issue, which generally was one of my favorite comic issues I think ever.
Yeah.
And it had no action, but it just slowly revealed this thing at the end. I was like, oh my God, that's great. I should have seen that the whole time. Anyway, 13 I think was when he started wearing it, because that's when they realized that Peter Parker's gone missing, basically. Yeah. So yeah, that stuff I think you're fair to have not remembered that. I think that was very kind of early on. The kind of backstory of the Venom suit, which is basically what we're calling it now, because at the start it's basically an AI Spidey suit. Like, I don't think it's quite nanotech because it always looks a bit liquidy and organic like a symbiote does.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have the same kind of look or feel of like the Iron Man nanotech.
I think like a hardcore Spider-Man nerd would have probably clocked that it was a symbiote, right?
The symbiote substitute for this universe.
Oh, is it not a symbiote?
No, it's now you got me second again myself, because I don't think I noticed it, but I'm pretty sure it's a designed thing by...
Because it looks a lot like Venom.
I think it was something they found... God, it's like taking a quiz on a comic book. You'd think I'd be good at these. But I think it was something that was found in Tony Stark's lab that Harry Osborn got access to when he inherited Oscorp. Right. And then I think his lackey... Dr. Octavius was like rooting through everything. It's like, we found this prototype for this kind of suit or whatever. And I think Harry didn't wear it because he was like, well, I've got this goblin suit that I found that I prefer for some reason. I don't know. there's a little bit of details we're missing here, but the main point is it's basically Venom.
Yeah,
as
it's
we
a symbiote,
find out. Yeah. So as I say, it's Lewis symbiote.
An affable symbiote, though.
In the original Ultimate Universe and Ultimate Spider-Man, the symbiote was a potential cure for cancer that Peter and Eddie Brock's dads were working on.
Right.
And then Eddie Brock gets a hold of it and it's like, we thought it was a cure, but it turns out it was a monster. So, you know how that goes. But yeah, so there's a lot of stuff to get into, a lot of twists and turns in the plot that I did not see coming, but then maybe weren't as significant as I thought they were. So
there's this like one very obvious subplot that pays off exactly as you think it would. And then there's all the stuff where like Peter and his buddy have been captured. But it ends like really unsatisfyingly, where they're just like, okay, Peter, go home to your family. And then the next panel, he's like, at home with MJ.
Well, so the thing with that issue 13 or 14, one of those, basically...
There's a couple issues where Peter's not about.
Yeah, but so Peter's being hunted by Kraven, essentially, in the underground Mole Man universe.
Yeah.
How'd you find Ultimate Mole Man after becoming an instant fan of his from Fantastic Four First Steps?
Yeah.
It's not as good as the Paul Walter Hauser.
No. And like, I'm not excited seeing Kraven either, because I didn't love Kraven.
Oh, I'm a big Kraven. I'm more of a Kraven fan after Kraven's Last Hunt.
Yeah, I was sort of a bit turned off Kraven by that.
See, how can you say that? He was in a room naked eating spiders. Like, is that not an interesting character to be invested in?
Moments. It did have its moments.
Do you remember when he was hunting that stuffed bear?
Yeah, of course. No, of course. I remember.
And by stuffed, I mean it was a stationary, inanimate object bear.
Kraven's Last Hunt is seared into my memory in a way that I'm trying to forget, Ryan.
Crazy. It was good stuff.
I
this
know
one's less crazy.
Yeah, Kraven's like... I mean, maybe this is it. Maybe I've just seen peak Kraven, and no other Kraven will match up to it.
Yeah, no, I'm in the similar boat as that. But I'm like, I'll take a little bit crazy Kraven. The problem is this Kraven is so identical to the main universe one. That's, I think, the biggest problem. Because we've had this before with Ultimate Universe stuff is, are they different? If not, what's the point?
Why are they even here? Yeah.
Exactly. And we kind of had that to a certain extent with Ultimate Black Panther, which is why we haven't continued that. Is it's just the Black Panther story, except there's some Egyptian gods that control Africa, like the continent. So it's, beyond that, the actual day-to-day, moment-to-moment stuff of Black Panther was basically, it felt too similar.
And I think that's what we liked about this, didn't we, is that it's fundamentally different. I suppose the thing that they've done here is they've essentially now given us a new Peter Parker in Richard.
Yes.
To a certain degree.
Do you know I made, because I made some notes about all of this and had to remember, like, what's the son's name again? Had to go back. Richard Parker, right? Because I think previous iterations he's been called Ben Parker, but then obviously, but it's because of the dead uncle that they name him after, and he's not dead here.
Yeah, so that's why the daughter's called May.
But I remembered, then I saw, Richard Parker. And I remembered Dick Grayson. I was like, Dick Parker.
Nice, Dick Parker. Yeah.
Completely useless in terms of reviewing comics, but a noteworthy point nonetheless, I feel, especially by comic era standards.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Kraven, basically same, hunting them out through the woods kind of thing. There was some really interesting stuff with the spider sense, which I thought was interesting.
Really?
Well, so in the sense that, Kraven notices very early on, he keeps taking shots at Peter.
Yeah.
And Peter keeps dodging them at the last second.
Yeah.
I think he worked out, like, there's something going on here.
Yeah.
Like, he's got something.
And I suppose it's easy to forget that all of these villains are now meeting Peter Parker for the first time, and so they're just getting used to his powers again and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I think it was a bit early for... I mean, what basically happened is Kraven tortures Harry and Peter to telling them, everything about themselves. I feel like that was, like, a quick overstep of, like, normally that's something that's like we should be scared that they're about to reveal this information.
That's sort of Kraven's end game, isn't it? I'll be honest with you. I thought a lot of that stuff was a little lackluster. Yeah. I'm most invested in Richard at this point.
That's fair. No, I completely get that. I think the most interesting thing to come out of the whole Kraven thing is the end of that. So kind of the issue 3014. There was a great moment, small list of notes, but because we're not really going to talk about the art because we've done that in previous episodes, I will link all the previous episodes if you haven't heard those. I did notice at one point, classic dinosaur. It's the savage land is what the underground part is. It's prehistoric, basically. But a dinosaur attacks them, and Peter grabs the jaw of it. There was just the littlest hint of blood in Peter's hand as he's holding the jaw open.
Yeah.
So it's just little things like that. I'm always like, it's not a new thing to say about the art, but I was like, I like attention to. I'll always take note of good attention to detail.
Yeah, and the art was like, it was much of the same. It was continuously pretty good.
Yes.
I feel a little let down by the story.
The whole story of all the issues we read?
No, Peter. Like, Peter's stuff is just... at least in that first couple of issues, I think what's so interesting about this, and again, I think this comes back to what we were talking about last week, is the family dynamic stuff. And so taking Peter away from all that for a few issues, I kind of found his storyline just a bit meh.
I think I know what you mean, because I got a similar feeling. What I got instead of that was pretty much surmised by one particular page, but it's where, Peter's desperate to get out of this place because now he knows the Kraven and presumably the rest of the villains know who he is and who his family is.
Yeah.
So he's desperate to get out. Harry's a bit like, maybe we should stay and fight him now, end it here kind of thing. And Peter's like, no, I have to get out as quickly as possible and make sure my family is safe. And then the reveal later on in that Harry's like, look, I'm not that worried about Gwen, his wife, Gwen Stacy in this universe, because we've got protocols in place to protect one if the other gets kidnapped or goes missing.
Yeah.
And Peter's like, so it's my family that's in trouble and yours is basically fine.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I would have done this for you, but Otto Octavius has to put in, and you think he's creepy, so he doesn't know who you are. But then summed up a point where they're walking along, I think Peter's carrying, it's like a montage page of them going through the jungle.
Yeah.
It does like a 50 miles from the edge.
Yeah.
And I know it specifically.
He just keeps repeating the same thing in his head, doesn't he?
Which is, he knows about MJ and the kids. And there's 10 miles, he knows about MJ and the kids. 5 miles, he knows about MJ and the kids. It's like X miles. And then it's like in capital, like X, like bold. He knows about MJ and the kids. So that page, I think, did a good enough job of me being like, this is why it's dramatic. So it gave me just a little bit of tension of like, oh, that's why. Because if a character believably feels a way about their situation, then I'll buy in. So it was enough to kind of give me that. I think the biggest shock at the end of that little bit, and what I was saying why it was kind of worth it, was the point. So Mysterio is hanging around there for some reason. Yeah. Mysterio somewhat being mysterious as his namesake, or their namesakes. We don't know who they are at this point. But then it turns out that, or Kraven catches up to him. And this is what I was saying about the spider sense thing.
Yeah.
Is Kraven manages to shoot Peter Parker, like in the side, in the ribs or something.
Yeah.
And Parker's like, why did my spider sense go off? And Kraven's like, because I wasn't aiming for you. You were just in the way. And Harry's been shot in the head. So this was the moment I was like, oh shit, I did not think they were going to do that or not. Spoilers for the rest of the comics, and I think loose spoilers for these 6 or 7 issues, however long we're doing, I can't count right now. But what we're doing, we are going into all of it. So
yeah.
And again,
Harry getting shot was pretty.
This is an ongoing series, so if we do spoil anything and you haven't read it, you can read more unspoiled stuff after this.
Yeah, because Harry's been a pretty prominent character up until now, and he's gone.
Well, as we thought at the moment, is what I'm saying. But in the moment, I thought that was really good. So post that, we get Parker and the Parker family on the run. And I did think that, for me, I think slowed it even a little more down than the chasing in the jungle parts.
Yeah. It kind of makes sense. It makes sense why Peter would want to do that. And what it does is it opens us up for this subplot where Richard, at arm's length, because it's all over text, starts getting overly friendly with a girl he's met who he knows is a villain.
Well, classic Spider-Man relationship with the Black Cat character, because I know that she's minor character, most like casual fans don't know about her, but she's like the kind of superhero love interest to Spider-Man when he's not, or even sometimes when he is, Peter Parker with MJ. And it's an interesting dynamic there, because it kind of represents like MJ is kind of like his more route to humanity and normal life and stuff. Black Cat is a bit more of a like, I am Spider-Man some of the times, and I'm kind of basically a god, compared to normal people. And she's like somewhat superpowered and is running off building tops and stuff. And she's kind of a Catwoman, like, that, with we all know the thing Marvel and DC is like, how many character ideas did they steal off each other? Like,
it's all of them,
this is Spider-Man's version of Catwoman. It's basically the same relation.
There's a corollary for almost every character on the other side, isn't there? It's
I
almost one for one if you go down the list now.
I wouldn't go that far. I think there's a significant amount of them to be like, well, you guys, you weren't not poaching each other's ideas, you know?
Yeah, this is it. So yeah, I mean, it gives us the opportunity to see that relationship unfold, and I absolutely saw the way that was going from day dot.
It was actually that note. I made the note, Richard rizzing Black Cat, because I'm so young and hip.
And he did rizz her up.
He did? Well,
he certainly thought he did.
And that's why I made the note in brackets, Dick Parker. But,
yeah, Dick Parker.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that kind of unfolds whilst they're on the run, and then inevitably he starts referring to her as his girlfriend, and she's like, right, I need your help right now. And I'm like, well, this is obviously going to be a double cross.
I don't know. I think I was a bit more like, I was open to the idea that it could have been that she was being like coerced by her dad. So yeah, it was going to be some kind of betrayal across or something, but I was at least like, maybe she's being commanded by, or her phone's been taken by her dad, who we have established is fully bad guy.
Yeah.
So there was other possibilities with the kind of similar end result.
But he sneaks back to New York with his dad, and it turns out the Kingpin is just waiting for him.
Yeah. Well, there's such a great little panel there, and it gets into another area that we could talk about, where Harry turns out he's not dead.
Yeah. Harry's not dead.
And as soon as that reveal
Gwen
came in,
is Mysterio.
Yes, and that's what I was going to get to. But as soon as the reveal that he's not dead, firstly, so we get the reveal that Gwen is kind of Mysterio.
Yeah,
it's Mysterio as it's a title and it's a cult basically.
Yeah.
Like it's a Mysterio cult. It's a bunch of people who share an amulet.
Yeah.
That gives the Mysterio powers.
Yeah.
That's unique in itself, because in the main 616 universe, Mysterio is a guy called Quentin Beck, who is part of this group. But he is I don't know if you know this or not, but Quentin Beck is he's a special effects expert in 616. So
I don't know this.
So the whole Mysterio thing is, you saw Jake Gyllenhaal in so it's that, but because Spider-Man just being older, it was like movie special effects stuff that he was using, pretending to be a super. Whereas the Jake Gyllenhaal one, they updated that with holograms and more technology like that. Anyway, he's actual magic, it appears, or they are actual magic in this. So the reason I mention all that is literally just for one panel that made me laugh, which was Richard Parker sneaking on Harry's jet because he's picked up Peter Parker. And as he's sneaking on the jet, Harry and Peter are talking, and Harry goes, yeah, did I tell you my wife's Mysterio? And Peter's like, what? And then Richard Parker's like, what? Like, and the suit was like, what? So that's why it made me laugh. Anyway, yeah. So Mysterio is now a group or a cult, which I really like this, but it's really subtle. It's not like an overt thing to enjoy about the comic, if that makes sense.
Okay.
I like that there is, and this is kind of I don't know if we actually have seen this in any of the Ultimate titles. It's a group who are basically joined and doing stuff because they realize this timeline is wrong. And they should be in a different timeline.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of stuff I'm like, that's why I love this Ultimate Universe, because it's all connected to the bit, like these smaller stories
are still connected to the Ultimates.
Exactly. You can see this, for lack of a better word, web of connections between all the stories. So and again, started with the Ultimate Invasion. Like I said, I like my dry world building, because that is what gives you this.
Yeah.
Where you go, oh, that's connected to that, actually.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a little bit I liked. But, yeah, the whole Mysterio thing actually led to a very interesting point where Mysterio, when he does let Peter Parker go, because Parker basically beats Kraven to almost death because he's just killed Harry as far as he knows.
Yeah.
And then Mysterio makes a point of being like, you can kill him if you, like, talking to Peter said, you can kill Kraven if you want. Like, I'm not going to stop you doing that. All I'm telling you is, right now, you are a priority of mine, but he's a higher priority. So if you kill him, you will by default then become my sole priority. Yeah. Whereas if you let him live, I will have to deal with him first and you can get away. And I like that. Like, that's that Hickman level writing. Which I really appreciate, where it's like, it's not just the standard comic book stuff of like, if you kill him, you'll be like just like the bad guy, or that kind of stuff. It's more of like a Machiavellian kind of like, I'm morally fine with you doing it. I'm just explaining the situation which might change your mind in an amoral kind of way.
And you'd think really that their tact would have been allow Peter to kill Kraven, and then I'll kill Peter, and then it's two birds, one stone, right?
Yeah, but and again, getting into what I really enjoy about this comic line, and why I think it's still kind of my favorite running comic of. Maybe the Ultimates I think was a bit more bombastic, but this really speaks to me in the kind of the detail that Hickman does in this stuff.
Yeah.
So as I gather, and this is kind of telling the story of, again, these kind of 6-7 issues, there's a kind of conspiracy within the Kingpin's Sinister Six. And I think the idea is, so we get the reveal that Kingpin's right-hand man, Wesley, is one of the Mysterios.
Yeah.
Loved how they initially show that, because you've got Gwen talking to, I think his name's Robbie Robertson. I think that is a genuine...
Very Stanley.
Very Stanley, yes. All the alliteratives are in the Spider-Man universe, or Fantastic Four. But she's talking to him. Her meeting with the Kingpin starts. Kingpin comes in with Wesley. We know Robbie's a Mysterio, or one of the Mysterio parts. Robbie's going out, and you just see him looking at Wesley for a second before they go.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff I'm like... And then they just basically tell you straightforward after that.
Yeah.
But if they had left that for a little longer...
That would have been cool.
That's the kind of where I'm like, oh shit, he's in it. So all this back to say, I think the reason Mysterio got rid of Kraven, or disappeared him specifically, is to create this kind of tension and rife within the Kingpin organization.
Yeah.
Because the Kingpin is now this part of the world's representative for the... what are they called?
Oh, yeah.
The makers... council that ruled the entire world, which actually kind of makes Kingpin more of a bigger, more kind of dangerous enemy than he is normally in the 616 universe.
Yeah.
Because in the 616 universe, he is essentially just the top mob boss, essentially, of New York.
Yeah.
And he's been mayor at points as well. I think he became mayor around about the time of the 2016 US presidential election. I don't know if they're related or not.
That's interesting.
But also Lex Luthor's been president before as well, so it's irrelevant really.
Yeah.
But, who's mayor of New York now in the comics? Luke Cage.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Not the first time an ex-convict has got into politics.
Hey.
So, yeah. But I think Kingpin, he comes across as more of a bigger deal and a dangerous deal, because he kind of imagine like going up against a mod boss, but he's also like part of the global Illuminati. You know? So I think I appreciate they kind of bigs him up that way. I did find it weird that we did get somewhat of a kind of single issue story for a bit, which is unusual for the Ultimate Universe, because most of the time it is this constant story that goes along, like every kind of issue is informed on the previous issue. And this is still the case. Like it's not like completely out of the story, but it felt like kind of separate. Basically, Parker family go on the run, and it just turns out there's a space in the desert that people are mysteriously going missing. I do like that. So they're hanging out in an RV encampment in the middle of the desert, and they've got all the different like kinds of weird people on the run. So they've got the UFO people. They've got they mention a bunch of other conspiracy type people I can't name off the top of my head. But it's funny when they're like, oh, we might go check out this canyon. And the UFOs go, don't go over there, people disappear. And they're like, normally you're quite big on people. Like you're quite excited about a place where people disappear. And he's like, no, not lost time and probed by aliens disappear. I mean, they don't come back. Yeah. Like he's like, not my normal bullshit. Yeah. Like they actually go missing. Anyway, it turns out that it's an abandoned government lab place where the Sandman is basically. Yeah. And it's why I say it's odd, because again, it's normally like then this part of the story happens, then this part of the story happens. Whereas this is just like, oh, the Sandman's here for an issue and we save him and now he's never heard from again. Yeah. You know? So I just thought that was odd. It's unusual compared to the rest of specifically the Ultimate Spider-Man series.
Yeah, which has been quite focused by and large, hasn't it?
Exactly. And they almost kind of rush through as well, where there's an interesting part. Obviously, Sandman's attacking them and a sensor's going off, and then he kind of dematerializes for like a few minutes and then he comes back again. I did think it was funny that he just kept picking up and attacking Peter Parker. Yeah. And Rich is just kind of like, what do we do, Dad? And Peter's just been ragdolled around by a giant sand hand. Yeah,
and it's like, well, now would be a good time to use that symbiote, kiddo.
But so they work out, at least it was a good little bit showing kind of how Richard Parker is a bit like he's got more to him than just being inexperienced and wearing a super suit.
Yeah.
Because he at least has the idea of like that thing. Anyone else would think, well, that thing is killing him every time it stops him. So do we need to activate it more? But his thinking is, well, no, it's hurting him. So if we turn it off, then maybe he'll like us or we're doing him a favor. So I like that kind of, it's the core Spider-Man thing of like empathy is kind of his biggest quality that helps him with stuff like this. And then so Sandman's just like, yeah, I was snuck into the army base and they were doing experiments. And then they put me in the experiment and then they just left me here. And I was like, this is quite a contrived little story just to have Sandman in it. It was
somebody's passion project in the middle of it, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's just weird for Hickman of all people. Normally he's like quite, rigid. I mean, I've got some remarks about Hickman that I found while just scrolling Reddit. Someone who used to work with, who was in the X room, as they called it, when they were doing the Krakoa era of X-Men, they described him and him laying out the entire story. As you said, most writers, when they give you a kind of full plot line of like something they're planning out, it's kind of they're in front of it and they're looking at A to B, like beginning to end, whatever. Said Hickman describing the Krakoa era story that he laid out across multiple titles was like he was looking over it from a bird's eye view.
Right, okay.
And he was looking at an entire like almost three-dimensional of all these stories intersecting and stuff. But apparently he's been described as genius by a lot of people who worked with him.
Which is a byword for a little bit mad, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And take with a grain of salt, it's with people who worked with him, so maybe they're just like really fond of the guy or whatever. But I still think his work, I think, speaks for itself as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, in this instance, he was just like, fuck it, Sandman for an issue.
Yeah, fuck it, why not?
What about your massive plan? Like, nah, shoehorn.
I mean, again, this whole like second half that we've now read of this comic, it's not been as good as the start. No,
and I think to be fair, the start had a little bit of like, oh my god, everything's new, and now they're trying to. I think they're setting up the last dominoes for the ending that they've got kind of planned, or at least like the end game they're working up to, which we will get into after this. But yeah, it does feel a little bit like now we're kind of slowly setting up some stakes here, if that makes sense. But I mean, maybe it's just a kind of lull in like the third quarter before like the last kind of quarter of, proper.
So is that how much more we're getting of this?
Yeah. We'll get
another
into
6 issues, basically.
If that, I think. But yeah, we will get into it because it's a whole thing they're doing, which it does sound good and exciting. So at least we've got some stuff to look forward to. But yeah. Short of that, I think the only other major part to talk about, the major thing to talk about here, is the scene of getting proper Ultimate Universe Venom in this.
Yeah.
And as I said, we didn't talk about much of the art, but there was a really great splash page of Venom coming out.
Well, that was the coolest moment when Richard goes to meet this girl, Kingpin's there, and Venom basically says to him, do you want me to deal with this? And he's like, yeah. Okay, close your eyes, don't open them, so I tell you to. And he fully venoms. It's more like when Venom goes around Eddie, isn't it? And there's fucking tentacles everywhere.
Impaling people in the eyes.
Yeah, everything kicks off for a hot second, and then they're all dead. And other than Kingpin survives, doesn't he? They get him out.
He's got his bullseye mercenaries, and they're like, get the boss out of here. Like,
yeah. That was cool. Yeah. And if this run, kind of that last quarter, is more Richard and the symbiote, like, I'm really keen to see where that goes.
Yeah.
And I think it's a little bit of a cop-out that they've given us a grown-up Peter Parker, just got his powers as an adult, is a family man, and then kind of within the first 20 issues, we're already at a point where we're like, oh, now we have essentially a 15-year-old Peter Parker substitute with Spider-Man-esque powers, because the symbiote suit is kind of Spider-Man-y, isn't it?
Yeah, it's same end result, essentially.
Yeah, he kind of has Spider-Man adjacent powers. I mean, it's cool because it's Venom and it's the symbiote, and we like symbiote stuff. Like, it's fun. It has a whole extra dimension. Because this, from what I've seen of the symbiotes, they're neither good nor bad. They just kind of are.
They were bad originally, and it's classic thing. Happens in comic books, happens a lot in pro wrestling. But a bad character who people think are cool then becomes a fan favorite. It's like, well, we've got to turn them good because people are cheering for them or people are, loving them.
And so the symbiotes have kind of over time become...
Well, it's Venom specifically. So what happened was Venom turned anti-hero and is basically a hero now. Carnage, the second most famous symbiote, has always been bad because he's...
Which is the one that hung out with Deadpool for a bit?
Both of them are points. I think you're thinking of Carnage. Those are just... That might be a Carnage symbiote because it did look like it. That Deadpool run was very good, so I don't remember the specific details. It looked kind of Carnage-y. It could have also just been a random symbiote anyway.
Yeah.
But yes, Carnage is the second most famous. He's bonded to Cletus Cassidy and is basically a psycho serial killer, which very cool thing to do with a symbiote character, obviously. And then I think because you had one that was basically a hero and one that's like almost always a villain, I think they then turned the actual symbiote race into like just a neutral, like they're a race of aliens. They're not good or evil. Similar to the Skrulls. Yeah. It's like when the Skrulls first appeared, it's like, you deceptive Skrulls. And I was like, they're refugees because their planet got eaten by Galactus.
Yeah, it's just like, they're just so, aren't they?
The symbiotes, they really changed their origin because at one point they were called, and I think they are still called the Clintar. I think like that's their name for themselves.
That's their actual race.
Yes. And at one point they were just like, we're like just organic beings and, like that's, we're just aliens. Then they retconned it to become that they were beings made by the symbiote god Null, who and they kind of retcon some interesting things because the symbiote's weaknesses are like strong sounds, specifically like sonic wave sounds, and fire.
Yeah.
And at one point when they were just aliens, it was like, we just don't like those. Like, like Martian Manhunter doesn't like fire. It's like, we're not that fond of fire. They just don't like it a little more. It changed that the symbiotes then became offshoots of the symbiote god Null creating and like blacksmithing in a cosmic Galactus kind of sense.
Yeah.
His sword that's extremely powerful.
Yeah.
And the reason that they're scared of fire and sound is because they were forged when he was literally like hammering in the forge of making this sword. So they retconned a lot very recently to be like, well, they were just aliens or they're the product of an ancient alien god kind of thing. Main point is symbiotes are cool. And I think when you said earlier about we might get this Spider-Man substitute in the younger Richard Parker.
Yeah.
The only reason I don't think that's the case is because ultimately Peter Parker is still the one with the powers.
Yeah.
And I'm fairly certain that Peter Parker is going to find out what's happened and he's not going to let Richard keep wearing the suit. Because yes, it protected Richard.
Yeah.
But Peter's also going to be like, you fucking impaled people's eyeballs.
Yeah.
Like, you killed a bunch of people. Like, and I think that is where we're going to get the interesting moral dilemma. Because the suit's going to be like, you said protect him, whatever it takes.
Richard's quite happy in the suit as well. Like, he likes it, doesn't he?
And they make a really interesting point as well, where Peter's talked to MJ, and that's a bit I want to get into later as well.
Yeah.
It's the last part of the last issue, but
let's get into it now. Fuck it.
Well, with the symbiote stuff, Peter makes the point of he's safe. Like MJ's like, should he still be wearing the suit?
He's safer in the suit than you are crossing the street.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think that's quite noble because again, Peter's eventually be like, this is kind of a monster, but I think the actual suit character, or the symbiote character, is really interesting as well. The dynamics.
Well, because it impersonated him for so long.
Well, in the first issue of this lot, issue 13, at one point when the suit is off Richard and he's talking to it, it assumes the literal appearance of Peter Parker.
Yeah. And
Richard Parker's like, that's a bit creepy because you look exactly like him and you obviously don't sound like him. And he's like, will this help? And he just turns the eyes black. He's like, that's worse. Like, why would you think that's better?
Yeah.
But I think Hickman here does a really good job of writing him as like an AI that's trying to be comforting.
Yeah.
I think he's striking that cadence and use of language really well here.
Yeah.
Because he is like, oh, would this help you if I did this? Which on a surface level, to someone who's not, to a robot, sounds like you're being very kind. But when people are kind to each other, you don't say it as bluntly as like, is there anything I can do for you?
Yeah.
Like you're a bit more like, oh, can I do, do you need anything?
Yeah.
Like that shorthand, it's very like AI over professional kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think they struck that balance quite well. But so, towards the end, we get MJ kind of getting a bit of the end of a rope here with
Yeah,
all this.
yeah.
And I thought that was kind of the more interesting. Again, I like the action scenes and stuff, but...
Well, it's the point where she says to Peter, like, you have to start telling me everything. And he's like, we're doing some fucked up shit.
Yeah.
Like, there's some of this stuff that you maybe don't want to know. And she's like, no, you have to tell me everything.
Yeah. And I think that was really a well-written part that this is the kind of stuff that keeps me really invested in this kind of title, is because MJ has been... like, trying to think of the best way to describe it, like, unrealistically cool for everything that's happening for a person, right? And I think it's one of those things where, as, like, I don't know if this is along gender lines or masculine, feminine, or whatever,
Shoot.
but I think, like, guys who read, and I'm using guys in a very gender-neutral term, but, you know, bros, when the bros read this, I think we naturally settle on the thing of like, it's so cool that MJ's cool with Peter just becoming a superhero at this age, and you know, and she'll get the family out of there and safe because she knows that he's got important stuff to do, and you know, all that. But I think it's then the more mature thing, guys, girls, whoever, to be like, he's kind of endangering the family here
massively, and
she's just got to be all right with it, because otherwise she's going to be viewed like fucking Skylar from Breaking Bad, who a bunch of dudes hated.
And to be honest with you, she's the only person being fucking reasonable at any point.
Exactly, yeah, 100%. And when she's unreasonable, it's because she's not given any choice to do anything reasonable. And that's why she's such a great nuanced character. But guys were just like, he's trying to raise money for the family, so just let him cook meth and kill people. Like, what's the problem? Like,
you're trying to cook meth, let him cook meth and kill people is a great sentence.
Didn't you? He said he is the danger. Like, why don't you just believe him? God, like, everything's fine. Like, you're such a bitch. Like, that is the reaction. And I think if MJ had been anything less than, I trust you and I will do whatever you need me to do to help you because I love you kind of thing, I think guys would have had a similar... And again, comic books, majority of readers are male. I think that's fair enough. Yeah,
100%.
So I think it's interesting the Hickman wrote her to kind of stride that line of like, she's very cool with everything because he knew people just wanted to see them together and be married still. But then to have her be like, I don't think I can just blindly follow it. Because I was even had a little bit of like is she like... gonna have to leave him or something?
Totally.
Like, are they gonna open that can of worms considering why people love this title? But for her to be like, no, I just need to know everything now, because they had a bit of a kind of, is it like The Godfather, like that kind of like, don't ask me about my business kind of Peter wasn't like that, obviously, but I think he was a bit like, I can tell, I'll answer what, like, I think the thing has always been between them. I'll answer any question you ask. But just know there's going to be, you probably don't want to know what's
But she's now gotten to the point where she's like, I don't want to ask anymore. And that's specifically what she says, isn't it? I don't want to have to ask anymore. You just have to tell me.
Yeah. And again, she's been I tried to find the right word to describe it. I think unrealistically cool. With everything that's gone on.
Chill.
And I think the only thing that would give a person a reason to act like she has is to truly believe that there is like a big evil in the world, and that this Peter Parker is doing something about it. What he's doing is
important.
Yeah, and we do get a sense of that as well, depending on how much she does or doesn't know about what Ben Parker and J. Jonah Jameson are doing, because they're just uncovering the entire lid of this whole global conspiracy kind of thing. I did think that was a very cool point where remember, we said this in the last episode, but they came up with a pseudonym for who wrote the story for their online paper to basically be like, well, if we make up a name, then they won't know who. It's like, it's on our website. We're publicly the owners of the newspaper, but they won't know who to get. And then Kingpin's like, hey, look, a bunch of people just died. They're all named Ben Reilly, which is the name thing. But also, the pseudonym name he uses is Ben Reilly. So it's his same first name, just a different surname. Which is to the level of like Obi-Wan Kenobi going on the run and be like, I think I'll call myself Ben Kenobi.
But even better, it's old Ben.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, I'm old Ben Kenobi. I'm definitely not Obi-Wan.
Like Darth Vader would be like, well, last time I saw Kenobi, he was middle-aged. So that was 20, 30 years ago, but it couldn't be him.
I mean, the fact that the extent to which Obi-Wan Kenobi ages between Kenobi and the original trilogy is unsettling.
Yeah, some people age like that though, don't they?
What, I mean, I suppose the thing is, Alec Guinness was considerably older.
Yeah.
And they oldered him up, for want of a better phrase. And then you've got Ewan McGregor, who is just aging like good wine. You know?
Oh, yeah. But also a movie star from the late 70s Star Wars. A movie star in that of an age in that era was obviously going to look older than the same age in this era.
Yeah, and that's the thing, isn't it? And so the jump in age between Obi-Wan, the Disney show, and the original trilogy is like, you guys need to fix that.
But maybe Kenobi in the series Kenobi was like still doing like his face regime, skincare regime
in
and
the
stuff,
desert,
getting his hair cuts because he's like, well, I'm stuck on a desert looking after this kid, but I can still do these things. And then it was X amount of time living in a cave. It's like, what am I doing all this for? Like, it could be hard to give up those like routines.
So he stopped dyeing his hair.
Yes. And then someone saw us like, wow, you've aged. It's like, I just stopped dyeing my hair like a week ago. Maybe that's what happened.
Yeah, okay.
But anyway, I think that's most of the story. Again, this is maintenance story kind of stuff. There's no big things as of yet.
It's not the most exciting chunk of it, admittedly, but I'm holding out hope for the third act, essentially.
Well, and I think technically for us is the fourth act because we did the first one. Did we do the first one by itself? And then we did 2 universe catch-ups, I think. I can't remember our own episodes. I think this is the
plays
fourth.
come in 3 acts. So to say that plays and films both come in 3 acts. So to say the third act, I just mean the last bit.
You were talking more of a culturally known like metaphor, and I was talking like literally, no, this is the 4th time we've read it.
Yeah.
But
we were at cross purposes there, right?
But the main reason I bring that up is because we did get an announcement a few weeks ago when this episode comes out that the series is coming to an end.
Right.
Is ending in December, and it's going to end with issue 24. And at that point, we are also going to get the first of a 5-part limited series, which is Marvel Ultimate Universe Endgame.
So they're already wrapping it up.
Well, but here's the thing. We only know that the Spider-Man series is ending.
Oh.
And so they're intentionally being very vague about all this.
Yeah, of course they are.
But I think most people are on a kind of similar page where this title will technically end on December. Yeah. Hickman will most likely not write it anymore. Yeah. I think that, and it's good to do that for writer leaves. There's so many titles where they just change writers midway through and they don't tell you.
Do you know what he's off to do next? Has he announced?
You never know with Hickman. I think he's working on like some more interstellar kind of stuff within he did a series called, I can't remember what it's called now, but I think he's trying to rebuild like the space section of the Marvel universe,
right?
So cool. I think he's doing stuff there, and there's stuff out there. So there's more Hickman we can read.
Yeah,
so.
I was just curious. I was just curious to what he's off to.
But so Ultimate Spider-Man's then Spider-Man is going to be in the Ultimate Universe Endgame series.
Makes sense,
and we know that because there was a poster that was released for it.
So they're wrapping up all the Ultimate Universe stuff, and we're going to get a big 5-issue finale that brings it all together.
I don't think it's a finale. I don't think it's a finale of the Ultimate Universe. I think the Ultimate Universe will continue. I think even Spider-Man can continue in some form or another.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be Spider-Man again, different writer. Yeah. Maybe it'll be a different Spider-Man character. Maybe Richard Parker in the symbiote suit. Like there's a lot of different things they can do. But this is the poster that I was trying to desperately find. They are literally doing the Endgame. It's the Endgame movie poster, but with these comic characters instead.
Oh, that's quite cool.
Yeah. But
oh yeah, Tony's back, isn't he? Of course.
Well, and what I thought was especially interesting is you've got like the Ultimates and Spider-Man, and you've got the character from Ultimate X-Men.
Yeah.
And they're actually in the same drawing style in this poster.
Yeah, fuck.
Yeah. So
it's all coming together, isn't it?
Exactly. And the Maker and Ultimate Wolverine's in there as well. Nearly dropped my phone. But yeah, so they're doing big stuff now. I don't think the Ultimate Universe is ending. I think those titles are still some of the most successful Marvel titles.
Yeah,
they're
it's still the most successful properties they have, aren't they?
Exactly. So yeah, we're excited. I think I can say on both our behalf, we're excited to see where it goes and what happens.
Yeah, the Endgame stuff will be cool, won't it? Because they've been building up to it for a while.
Exactly. The downside is that I assume you agree, we're going to leave until all the 5 issues have come out, and if it's a monthly release, we probably won't actually get around to it till probably April next year.
Yeah, it's going to be a next year jobby.
Yeah.
Which means potentially I might not even be around for it.
April? You'll be here.
I might not be.
Well, we'll see how it goes. I mean, we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, I'll probably be back by April, won't I?
Yeah.
For anyone who hasn't been listening to the podcast very carefully, I'm going to be away for a while, kids. prepping you all now. It's just going to be Ryan on his own.
Yep, just talking into the void. I mean, that was mostly this episode anyway, so it's not like they're not used to it.
Yeah, it happens occasionally. Like, there's some days where my brain's not there, isn't there?
Exactly. And luckily, I've got the enthusiasm to carry us along.
The enthusiasm for the comic. Just a deep, burning love of comic books.
Oh, it's the Comic Lyra podcast. What else do you expect?
Yeah, what else? What else would keep it going?
Exactly. I mean, speaking of reading comic books, I thought this would be a fun thing to go over. So this is... Oh, actually, you know what? We got a comment. I'll bring that up.
Oh, yeah, someone commented.
Yeah, comment from one Michael Blackwood. Left us a comment on the latest episode.
Mr. Blackwood back on the podcast.
Said, great episode. Please do another one of these at some point. It's talking about the Fantastic Four review.
Well, the film?
Yeah.
Cool.
But please make sure whatever movie you do in has an equally weird scene that will baffle Jamie, just like the birth/battle scene in this one. Also loving the Noops shout out.
Noops! Gotta love Noops.
If anyone doesn't know, Noops is a chain of hot chocolate in the UK.
UK? Hot chocolate in the UK, but it's all really high cocoa content, and their customer service is fantastic.
Oh, at least the one in Norwich that we know of.
The one in Norwich, yeah, their customer service is amazing, and their hot chocolate is like really good. Man, I want Noops now.
I mean, you could do with it. You are under the weather.
Yeah, very poorly. Very, very poorly.
Yeah. Well, that's why I finished telling you another comic that I read recently, which I just thought would be fun to get your gauge on.
Okay.
So there's a comic series that I have known about for a while, and I thought I'd give a try for information I will reveal.
Yeah.
But it's basically, the series is called Crossed, right?
Right.
And for anyone who's listening, don't read this comic. If you're thinking, oh, they've mentioned a comic on the show, I might check out. Just don't.
Is it that bad?
So it's written by Garth Ennis.
Yeah.
And it's basically...
I mean... I'm warming to them.
Oh yeah, Garth Ennis is a fantastic, strong. He's a really good writer, and I think he does really good work at points. We loved his James Bond one,
because
it was, but also that was the least Ennis thing of his that I've read. But so I knew he'd done the series, and basically to describe this series is kind of a new take on the zombie apocalypse thing.
Yeah.
But basically, the plot of it is, it's a zombie apocalypse, kind of close to 28 Days Later, except instead of the rage virus, it's called the crossed virus, because when someone's
it's
infected,
really
they have
upset with you.
Well, they get cross.
I'm getting cross now.
Well, you're laughing now, but think of this as like the innocence before you know.
Right, okay.
They get a cross like sign on their face, like a organic looking one. It's not like a religious thing, but it's, religious connotations and all that. But basically, instead of just being rage virusy like 28 Days Later, they basically become people who do the most evil things that they can think of in the moment.
Excellent. Love it.
Which includes, and again, if you've read any Garth Ennis, Preacher, The Boys, or Punisher Max, he already has quite a vivid imagination for very violent and a lot of the times sexual violence in his comics.
Yeah, he does like a bit of sexual violence, doesn't he?
Imagine all that turned up to 100.
Is it just a bunch of R?
I mean, there's a lot. There is a lot of it in there, as well as all the violence and everything. Yeah,
I don't think it has a place.
I mean, if the plot of it is people, I mean, he's made a vehicle to do this kind of thing. So,
man, so I'm a big advocate for artists being able to tell the stories they want to tell and do the things they want to do, right? But I just think there's enough of that shit in the world without writing stories about it all the time. I don't know. I feel like maybe that's the one topic where, like, there is an interesting story to tell, but I don't think seeing the act itself is what is, like, interesting or culturally relevant. I just think it's a bit gratuitous. I just don't think it has a place.
I think I probably agree with you on like most of what you're saying about like your reception to it. Like I'm kind of in the similar boat. I do kind of stay on the side of either everything's okay or nothing's okay kind of thing.
Yeah,
then
no,
it's
and that's the thing,
line
isn't
and stuff.
it? Like there's a huge wad of cognitive dissonance in there as I say that, because
I'm big advocate for trigger warnings and stuff. I think like
and I am a big advocate for artists being able to say and do what they want in their art. And if you'd have asked me this 10 years ago, I'd have said no topic should be off limits.
Yeah.
Right? It's just as I get older and I see how broken the world is and how it's not getting any better, and in some areas it's getting much worse, and I think that's one of them. Like, there is I mean, I don't know if it's just that we're better at classifying it now and identifying it, and things that wouldn't have been classified as sexual violence 30 years ago are now being correctly classified as sexual violence.
Yeah.
And so we think there's more of it happening because actually we're just correctly classifying more of it. But I have no interest in reading a story or watching a TV show with graphic depictions of rape. I just fucking don't want to see it. Wow. I just think it's gross and gratuitous and tone deaf. I think if there is a valid story to be told there, it's in the sort of weight of it and the aftermath, and in really educating people on what happens next, and you know what the lifelong impact is for the victims of sexual violence. I just don't necessarily know that they're like, I said this before, didn't I, when we talked about something else, and I said that I feel like it's a really convenient way for a writer to be like, this person is bad, they have committed a sexual atrocity. It's like, yeah, but there's other ways of telling me that without graphically showing me a fucking rape scene.
Oh yeah, the use of it in this comic is explicitly to shock. Like that is like the sole kind of main purpose of it.
Yeah, and I don't know. I just and I know that that's Garth Ennis's thing. He is a shockmonger. Like yes. That's what he does. He wants to shock you. He's
on the surface a shock edgelord kind of writer, but there's also a good writer underneath as well, which is especially interesting.
He writes well, doesn't he?
But the reason
how do you feel about it?
Well, it's kind of exactly that. Like, I think, again, like very similar boat on you in terms of like the reaction to it and stuff. I think the difference, like I said, the only difference is I think none of us are kind of the authority to say what should or shouldn't be in stuff. But I'm kind of similar boat to you. And everything's open to criticism. I think that's the thing. The free speech people who say, like, confuse free speech with freedom from criticism.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I am on the boat of, I think, art especially should be able to do anything.
Yeah.
But that doesn't, everyone else also has the right to express their dissatisfaction and hate of it as well.
Yeah, and this is the thing, like, I don't like what he's saying, I don't like what he's doing, but I would fight to defend his right to do it.
As once said by the great Peter Griffin.
Oh, really?
There is a family where it's like, well, I don't like what you say, but I'll fight to the death. You're right to say it. But it's like the most asinine thing he's talking about.
Yeah, but that's the point, isn't it? I'm just like, certainly not for me.
Yes. Well, the reason I bring up is because there's now a movie being made about it, so we're going to have to read the comics. I'm joking. We probably won't. Yeah. But I just thought it was like, I saw the movie was being made, and I was like, I'm going to read this and see how bad it is.
And did it then become how the fuck are they going to shoot this?
Well, so most people had that reaction that I was seeing in the comments and stuff, but it turns out it's being directed by a guy who made a Taiwanese film called The Sadness, which a lot of people said is just the plot of Crossed. But so someone's already made the film, but they're now making the actual literal adaptation.
The branded version.
And the script is being written by Garth Ennis.
So, yeah, it'll get made.
Yeah, exactly. But what's interesting is apparently Ennis only actually wrote the first season, the first run of it, I guess.
Like volume. 6 issues.
First volume, yeah. And then he was like, oh, yeah, I've done the story I wanted to do. But then, because he owned it, he let other people write on it.
Yeah.
So other people did it. But there was one writer in particular, I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but a lot of there's like even worse stuff that happened beyond the series I read. Right. Which is this other writer. But it gets attributed to Garth Ennis because he created and owns the series.
And also he greenlit it.
Oh, yeah. He's not like, it's not like he didn't allow it, but it is interesting that some of the worst stuff came from the mind of someone else.
Yeah, totally.
But what's especially interesting, and why I brought up on the podcast and brought all this horrible stuff and topic for the listeners, just to give
at the end,
just to deliver you this one little bit of information, is a bunch of writers wrote extra stuff on it. And interestingly, one of the writers wrote a story called Crossed 100, which takes place 100 years after the initial outbreak. Yeah. Would you like to try and guess who that writer is?
Brian K. Vaughan?
No. I'll give you 3 guesses.
John Romita Jr.?
No. He's an artist.
Yeah. He has written, though, hasn't he?
Not that I know of.
Okay. I'm going to take 2 more then. Brian K. Vaughan.
I'll give you a clue. The first comic book writer you think of.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Alan Moore.
Alan Moore.
Alan Moore did a run on it.
He did a run on it.
Was it any good?
I haven't. I know. I've got to try it because it's Moore. Like, Moore is one of the best comic writers of the generation. So
Of any generation.
Exactly.
I think he's one of the greatest of all time.
So I'm going to see how depraved his mind is when
Him
given.
and Garth Ennis buds then?
I mean, buds enough that Ennis was like, "Do you want to write on this?" And it was relatively recently as well, actually.
I suppose the thing is, I imagine Alan Moore gets quite a lot of those phone calls where people are like, "Would you like to write this?" And he's like, "Oh, comic books."
I bet even Marvel and DC are probably still trying him. Being like, come on, like, we know we fucked you over in the past. I mean, DC especially. I don't know what his relationship is like with Marvel, but
he's not done that much Marvel, has he?
He's definitely not known. Not that I know.
He must have done some.
Maybe.
Like, you can't be as big in the industry as he is and not have ended up writing for both of them at some point, right?
Yeah, I think he probably wrote for Marvel before he became especially big. I reckon that's, and I think because it was while he was big that he had the major falling out, basically, wasn't it? Can't find when exactly it was, but it was like, I think it was in the 10s, like it was that recent.
Oh, okay, so within the last decade, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I was like, one of the last comic books that Alan Moore's written. Like, I'm going to have to check that out.
Yeah, we're not going to get that many more out of him, are we?
No, I mean...
he must be an old boy at this point.
Yeah, and he just doesn't like writing comic books.
He just doesn't enjoy writing comic books, yeah.
But yeah. So anyway, at some point we might do one of the most controversial and horrific comic books of all time. Maybe not. Like, we'll see.
I mean, maybe I won't turn up for that episode. Like, I've already detailed my misgivings with the concept.
Yeah, and to be fair, there's not that much of it in Ennis's series.
Even so.
Still enough to have a problem with it.
I'm just not there for it.
No, that's fair enough. There is still like some good character stuff underneath.
I'm sure there is. It's Garth Ennis. He's a good writer.
Yeah. But anyway, so just to finish on the extremely dour note.
Yeah, cheers for
and
that.
Topic. Well, that's the end of the podcast. Like, if you're with us at this point, you're ride or die. And we appreciate you for it.
We love you for
it.
So thank you so much for listening. Leave a review. Make sure it's insulting and 5 stars and all that shit. And then cut to the recording.
And here it is. And thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, then please subscribe to get notified of our future episodes as well. And if you're feeling particularly generous, then please leave a 5-star review on whatever podcast app you're using. If you'd like to get in contact with us, then send an email to comiclit@gmail.com. You can also watch videos by me on the Comic Stand YouTube page, which is linked in the description. Thank you, goodbye.